Is anybody surprised here? I'm not. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about California Governor Gavin Newsom declining to support reparations for slavery as recommended by this advisory council in the state. Now, are any of you surprised at this? I mean, seriously, are you surprised? You shouldn't be. Nobody watching this video right now should be surprised or anyway disappointed. This was the obvious outcome. And there's quite a few reasons. First of all, there was never any slavery in California. So what are we talking about exactly? We're talking about moving the goalposts to Jim Crow and stuff like that. I mean, was that a thing in California? As far as I know, black folks came to California en masse, like in the 60s, to escape the South and all the things that were going on there. You know, they moved to LA and San Fran for that reason. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Y'all let me know in the comments below. But a lot of black folks came from Mississippi, Alabama, et cetera, to California for a better life. That's the way it was. So what are we talking about exactly? Reparations for what? And then some of the proposals that were out there from this council talking about we want hundreds of millions of dollars per person, 40 acres in the mule, just all kind of ridiculous things that were never going to happen. It was never going to happen. It's like, why are we even talking about this? I understand people feel passionately about it. Maybe they feel like they deserve certain things. I understand the feelings, but I knew that it wasn't going to happen. And then beyond that, let's just be honest. This was not going to move the needle at all when it comes to the vote in California. It wasn't going to, you're going to have Gavin Newsom or a guy like him, regardless of what the outcome of this whole thing was. Because, look, your man Joe Biden, hey, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. I'm paraphrasing, but that's pretty much what he said. And then black folks still went out and voted for him 92%. So obviously you could be outright racist and say things like that and not lose the black vote. And as far as a big chunk of it, you might lose a small piece of it, but not really. It won't really make a difference. Okay. And they're bringing in illegal aliens and they're trying to make them vote in California so they could just simply replace you. They can move you out, replace you, and then keep on going. That is their whole objective. California is majority minority, but not black. It's majority Hispanic. I was in LA a few years ago, and it looked like Mexico. It's like, am I in Los Angeles or am I in Guadalajara? Am I in Mexico City? Am I in Sinaloa? Where am I at right now? So the state is changing. There's no longer a need to even try to cater to the black vote. So this whole thing, reparations, it was just a dog and pony show from the beginning. It wouldn't have made a difference when you're talking about elections. It was never going to happen. The proposals were ridiculous at best. It wasn't going to affect Gavin Newsom. So there was never going to be a reason to do it. The biggest reason why it wasn't going to happen is because there was no incentive to do this. No incentive. Look, if a community votes for one party 95, 90, 85, whatever percent of the time, the majority, overwhelming majority of the time, if you vote for that one party and never get anything as a result for your vote, why would this monumental thing that costs billions of dollars, why would that happen to get the vote that does not require anything to get? Check it out. Why would I pay $100 trillion for a thing that I can get for free? You tell me that. It doesn't make any sense. If I can just go outside with a cup of water and water falls into my cup and I can drink it, why would I pay $1 billion for that same cup of water that came from the rainwater? It made no sense. It's just illogical. So it was never going to happen. Here's an article from, New York Post. You see the headline, Governor Newsom declines to endorse reparations checks proposed by California task force. And this is from today. Okay, let's check it out here. So let's get into the article a little bit to see a little bit more details, right? Because some of the things I think they're going to talk about in this article that were proposed, some of the financial specifics they'll talk about in this article. California Governor Gavin Newsom declined to throw his support behind cash payments of up to $1.2 million for black residents recommended by Reparations Task Force, according to a report. The Democratic governor told Fox News Digital on Tuesday that reparations meant to take responsibility for the country's history of slavery and systemic racism is much more than cash payments. He called a task force findings a milestone in the effort to advance justice. You know what? That's so silly. I've said it before. I said it years ago in a debate on RT with, shout out to M. Reese Everson. She's a good debate partner. I was talking about this. It's like, yo, they'll say all these things. They'll have a task force. It'll be a committee. Oh, we're going to look into it. We're going to see how the whole thing works out. We're going to investigate and come to a conclusion. But then when it comes to anti-Asian hate bill, right away. When it comes to that border being wide open, right away. When it comes to things that actually matter, when it comes to moving the needle and gaining power and maintaining the vote and, you know, quid pro quo type things going on, when it comes to those things, it's never about, oh, we got to try to figure it out. They do it right away. But when it comes to this, oh, let's have a panel discussion, a podcast, a meeting. You know what that means when they say stuff like that? It's like when you call somebody and say, hey, man, you want to come to the party? Hey, man, I'll let you know, man. I'm trying to figure out something. When they say I'll let you know, it's not going to happen. The same thing here. Hey, Gavin Newsom, can you little, payback for slavery? We got to, all of that right there, that's just them stalling. Rather than just saying no outright from the beginning, they lead you along, have you vote for them, and then don't follow through. Do you see this right here on the left-hand side? It says California Task Force okay reparations plan that could cost the state $800 billion. Again, why would you pay $800 billion for a thing with a B, $800 billion for a thing you can get for free? You don't need to do any kind of outreach at all to the black community to get the vote if you're a Democrat. All you got to do is say, I'm a Democrat, and that's enough. You could be outright racist and say, yo, check it out. You want to know why you can vote for me? Because you black. That's why. Vote for me, darky. And they'll go ahead and do it. They'll go ahead and do it. So why would you pay? It don't make no sense. But I'm getting triggered. Quote, this has been an important process, and we should continue to work as a nation to reconcile our original sin of slavery and understand how that history has shaped our country. Newsom said in a statement to the outlet, speaking to Fox News Digital, dealing with that legacy is about much more than cash payments. But he declined to endorse any specific recommendations by the task force while still praising its work. It's like, hey, man, y'all did so good. You guys did so good. I'm not giving you a dime of anything, but you guys did great. It's pretty embarrassing, but I called this from the beginning. There's no incentive to act on this because it won't make a difference when it comes to the election. That's all that really matters. That's all that matters is, hey, if this will help me win or help us maintain power, or if it's got to be something in it for them to give out almost $1 trillion. And that number right there was never going to happen. That was never going to materialize. When you're talking about some nation's GDP ain't even that much money. It would never happen. Quote, many of the recommendations put forward by the task force are critical action items we've already been hard at work addressing. See, there we go with them words. We're trying to figure it out. We're going to do a study. We're addressing it. We're looking into it. We're investigating. Breaking down barriers to vote, bolstering resources to address hate, enacting sweeping law enforcement and justice reforms to build trust and safety, strengthening economic mobility. Nothing that specifically for the black community because there's no need to, right? Just basic word salad, boilerplate, generic type stuff. All while investing billions to root out disparities and improve equity in housing, education, healthcare, and well beyond. PR stuff, right? Totally PR stuff. The 9-member committee voted in favor of several recommendations Saturday, including cutting eligible black Californians a minimum of $360,000 in checks. The task force recommended that the state create a new agency that would determine how much each black resident was owed by California as a result of their ancestors being enslaved or racist policies like redlining. Was there ever slavery in California? What are we talking about? Stupid stuff. Ahistorical things. The group suggested payments range from a few thousand to as much as 1.2 million, depending on a series of eligibility factors like past incarceration and housing discrimination. All right. So that's them. I mean, shout out to them for speaking out for what they believe in. That's the American way. But you have to understand, when you give your vote 90+% to one party without getting anything in return, that party knows that they don't have to do anything to get your vote. They can get your vote for free. So why would they pay for it? Why would they pay $1 trillion to get a thing that costs them nothing, especially when the black vote is becoming irrelevant in a place like California, where it's majority Hispanic anyway. It's not even majority white, it's majority Hispanic. California has become Mexico Part 2. As I said before, I was in Los Angeles. I couldn't tell if I was in LA or Mexico City. It looked just like Mexico. It sounded the same way. I'm getting into the Uber. They super rude. Ain't speaking no English. Espanol, papi, all that. You know what I mean? That's pretty much what it is. So here's the last piece, and then I'll wrap it on up. Some economics had estimated that the payouts could cost taxpayers upwards of $800 billion, more than 2.5 times California's annual budget. Silly stuff. But as I close, I want to say this. This was pretty anticlimactic. I think we all saw this result coming because I'll say it one more time. There's no incentive. What's the purpose? Why spend that much money that they don't even have on a thing that they don't even need? That won't help them. Like, when you're talking about politics, when you're talking about anything that you may want to get from a political power structure, they got to get something out of it themselves. They got to get their own little taste as well. That's just the American way. What will I get for doing this? Okay. Now, leaving the borders wide open, what do you get from that? You get a lot of cheap drugs to sedate the Americans, a lot of cheap labor to do things that you can pay them less for and not pay Americans more for. When you're talking about the anti-Asian hate bills, you get a bunch of Asians to come over here with their intelligence, going to Silicon Valley, working for lower. See, it's all quid pro quo. What do they get for reparations? Is it the votes? No. Is it increased labor force? No. What is it? But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about what's going on here with Gavin Newsom declining to endorse reparations for Black Californians? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I saw this coming. I predicted it years ago, and it's going to be the same way. As long as everything that I said, as far as the factors that tie into it, okay, what are you going to get? How much is it going to cost? What's the incentive? As long as those things, those issues still persist, the same outcome will happen over and over again. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.